There you go.
Welcome back, creeps and creepettes, to another episode of 15 Minutes of Maim, where we look at terrible, well, mostly terrible Netflix movies that I've challenged myself to watch so you don't have to. This week, we actually have a lot of garbage, so you're welcome. It was kind of a waste of my time, but again, this is kind of being a challenge for myself. It's good to get out of my comfort zone with horror movies and maybe, dig into some trash occasionally. We're going to start off with Dead Con, which is a 2019 horror drama mystery starring Lauren Elizabeth. And the tagline for this one is, "The horrors and isolation of being a social media influencer run rampant when a collection of YouTube and Instagram stars soon discover there are things scarier than thousands of teenagers armed with phones asking for selfies." Okay, so just let that unpack for a second. This whole movie is about social media influencers at a convention that is for social media influencers. So there's a lot of just campy, like the lead actress is walking around shooting videos like constantly, and all of these people seem like really self-important, and it's super obnoxious. I think they tried to give these people, like, maybe to try to make them seem more human by showing what they were like when they weren't filming themselves. But long story short, with this movie, our lead character ends up getting put into a room that she wasn't supposed to be put in because the hotel was sold out and they lost her reservation. And the room that she was in has some supernatural activity going on. And she becomes like possessed by this entity, and this entity wants children. So she starts wandering through this convention, trying to kidnap kids. It was bad. I mean, just bad all around. The acting wasn't good. The story wasn't good. I found it to be shallow and pedantic. Can I say that? I did. I said it. There was no meat to it, and I get what they were trying to go for. It just didn't land. Like trying to give these people maybe like showing them that they were showing us that they're real people, and I just felt like it just didn't land very well, and it could have been developed better. So this one is going to get 1 out of 5 shrieks because it was just, I found no saving grace in this movie. It wasn't scary. The plot it had a minimal plot. The acting was not terrible, but not good. The writing was not terrible, but not good. It had nothing going for it. So skip on Dead Con unless you hate yourself. Next up is the big turd of the show. You think that one that I just explained was bad. This was perhaps one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's called Hungerford. And it stars Drew Casson, Georgia Bradley, and Sam Carter. It's a science fiction horror movie, and the tagline is, "While filming his daily life for a media course, Cohen discovers his small English town may be under an ominous and otherworldly influence." Okay, so this is what happens. This guy's just filming his life for, a class or whatever, and they try so hard to establish that him and his friends are like quirky and weird and like the outcasts or whatever, like right away. And so it's really forced. And the main character like has a crush on this girl who comes over, and like she invites him to a party. And so they go to this party, and one of the guests at the party like falls over and like starts like spitting up blood or like throwing up blood. I couldn't tell which one it was. Essentially, it's these alien bugs like come in this giant cloud, and they like infect people. And honestly, it really didn't make any sense, and the acting was so horrible. This one took me I think it took me 2 full days of like watching a little bit here and there to get through it. It was very, very boring, very, very hard to watch. Special effects weren't good. Acting was epic fail, especially the lead character. He was so bad. And I don't always feel good about saying, oh, somebody's a crappy writer, or oh, it just wasn't for me. But honestly, the acting and writing was very poor. In my opinion. Again, I'm not a film critic. Like, it's not my job, but as a horror writer, I do have a very strict guideline that I go by when I do these reviews. And I mean, it was just so bad. And the accents, I have a hard time hearing already. And because everybody had an accent, sometimes it was a little garbled because they would speak really fast. So sometimes you would just miss whole things that they were saying because it was kind of like blurting it out really quick with an accent. But yeah, Hungerford is a 0 out of 5. It is so terrible. Please don't watch it. Just completely skip it. Again, I'm not trying to offend the people who put all their time and effort into this, but it just, as a horror connoisseur, it was piss poor. I'm sorry. So on to a good movie. We'll move on to a good movie. Session 9, which is a movie that I've heard about a lot from. I'm a member of a bunch of like horror groups, and this is one that a lot of people have talked about, but I had never seen it. And when I challenged myself to this Netflix challenge, I was waiting for this one to come up because I really wanted to see it. And alas, it did. So Session 9 is a 2001 movie starring David Caruso, who I love. I love David Caruso, him and his sunglasses. Yeah. So the tagline for this one is tensions rise within an asbestos cleaning crew as they work in an abandoned mental hospital with a horrific past that seems to be coming back. Okay, this movie went in a direction that I knew they were going to try to like do some kind of play on, okay, it's an abandoned asylum. And so of course there's going to be, something going on within the walls because of course bad things happened in these asylums back in the day. This was shot and it felt to me so much like a 70s movie. Like it gave like that feel, like the music and the shots that they used, and they would pan over scenes, like still scenes of like just like a chair, and they would have a voiceover of somebody talking or like one of the tapes playing that they find inside of the asylum. And the atmosphere of this movie was incredible. I just really, really enjoyed it. The acting was good. The script was good. I really like how they kind of moved the story along, and there was other things going on too, like smaller things, and how everything all came together at the end. And again, I don't want to give anything away, but if you haven't seen Session 9, I highly recommend it. It gets 4 out of 5 shrieks from me. It's pretty damn good, you guys. So, and it's 2001, and it's funny because it looks like it could have come from the 70s. Like even how like the film itself looks old. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but very good movie. Very much enjoyed it. And okay, so I cheated a little bit because there was a new movie that came out to rent on Prime, and I really wanted to see it, and it definitely fit into, a horror, it's a horror thriller type movie. And so I decided that, I have other Netflix movies that I'll do in the next show, but I wanted to touch on this one because it's newer and I really wanted to see it. And I actually really enjoyed it, and it was completely different than what I thought it was going to be. So it's called One Bedroom, 2019, just came out. It stars Nicole Bryden Bloom, Giles Matthey, Taylor Nichols, and there's a huge cast in this one. And so this movie, the tagline is, Sarah tries to start anew in LA, but her neighbors are not what they seem. So she finds this apartment for rent, and she can actually afford it because she's moving to LA to kind of like be on her own and do her own thing. She has a really crappy relationship with her father. And so she moves into this apartment building, and it's set up so like there's like the courtyard in the middle with the pool, and all the tenants are like, you know, barbecuing and sitting around the pool together, and everybody's super friendly, right? So she takes the apartment, gets everything all set up, and the next thing you know, the owner of the property sneaks into her apartment and drugs her. She catches him while he's like sneaking through her apartment. And then a bunch of these other people from these other apartments come in too. And they're all like ganging up on her. And I don't want to tell you what they're doing, but this is just at the beginning of the movie. So it doesn't give you that long. You get a good 20, 30 minutes before they really, you know, punch you in the face with that. And then from there, it just gets really, really bizarre. It was definitely interesting, and I really liked the way that they ended it. I mean, it's not the greatest movie I've ever seen, but I didn't feel bad spending $6 renting it. So, you know, there you go. If you like almost like character studies in your horror, then you're gonna like this one. So this is One Bedroom, new movie. I'm gonna give this one 4 out of 5 shrieks. And definitely give that one a look when you get a chance, if that sounds good to you. Also, if you guys have any questions about any of the movies that I'm reviewing or want to talk about them, just hit me up on Facebook. My name is Stephanie Menard, StefaniManard, and we can discuss anything you guys want to talk about. So again, today we reviewed Dead Con, Hungerford, Session 9, and One Bedroom. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.